days. It's day 7. Day 7. Alright, so hello. Today we are going to continue with the nix.dev. But before we start, I want to. So today, Obsidian released the Obsidian base, right? The Obsidian base is like a database table, like a database. Should I call it a database or should I call it like a yeah, more like a database. It's a way for you to like organize your nodes into like tables and you could have like properties and stuff. Let's check it out. Obsidian base. What? Okay, good. Yeah, something like this. Uh, yeah, right. You could have like different. You could like categorize your nodes into like different bases, and then you could have like the properties and filters and sort. So it's like a very uh, it's like one of the best way to organize your node, honestly. Like I've been waiting for this for like a while now, right? But I don't know. I just what's the word? I just don't know how why they take that long to um yeah to release this. They do have like a beta version, but then that was only available for the Catalyst user. But now it's available for everyone. So now I'm happy. So today I want to kind of like first of all organize my Obsidian, and then after that I will continue with the nix.dev, or it might just be like a vice versa. But then before that I also need to update my nixOS because uh, currently I don't have Obsidian base yet, so I think I might need to update my Obsidian and then I get Obsidian base. Uh, so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. But then I'm not even too sure if the Nix repository have like the latest version of Obsidian yet because it just came out today, right? And and that means that there's a lower chance that it's gonna be in Nix PKG. But I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to update my Nix OS, and if if it happens that the version is live, then yeah, then I'm happy. Um, but first of all, let's go over to my Obsidian. Obsidian. Uh, do we have base? Um, we don't have we don't have base yet. Because if we do, it's gonna show like yeah, we don't have base yet. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's update it. But before, I think we could check like I think we could check. One thing I noticed is that I have a very loud voice on my stream. I don't like that. So let me try 250. All right, good. That looks good. And yep, yep, perfect. So what I'm gonna do is I need to check the version, right? I need to check the Obsidian latest version, and then Obsidian 1.80. Like I'm not sure if it's updated already. Um, what's the latest version for Obsidian? Let's confirm. What is the latest just was that today or yesterday? Today's 19. Yesterday was 18. Yeah, 1.90. Um, 1.90. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. We don't. Um, oh no, we don't have the latest version yet for Obsidian, so we can't get it. We can't get it. That's bad. I mean, oh, I don't like that. Okay, so maybe we're just gonna give it like a few um wait. Let's confirm one more time. Let's go to unstable, Obsidian. Yeah, we don't have that yet. Okay, so we can't do that because we don't have Obsidian yet. So uh, well, we're just gonna scrap that. Um, okay. Um, so what we're just gonna do then is we're just gonna go to nix.dev then and forget about it. Um, yeah, currently we are in this section. We're trying to learn Nix using the nix.dev. And once I'm done with this, I'm going to, I don't know, pick something else to learn. So before we get in the groove, let's put in some songs. For some reason, I'm kind of getting bored of these songs. I need something good, something better, I guess. Let's see. All right. What's wrong with my mouse? So we are in. Where did we stop yesterday? Okay, so we're still in this section, and we are in function libraries. So yesterday, yeah, I think it was yesterday. Yesterday we did pkg.leave, and okay, let's get the same thing in here. Good. So Perfecto. So yesterday we were um, learning the nix library function, right? Which is uh, which is an attribute set provided by the nix package. It contains like different functions that we could, different useful functions that we could use to implement implement like different things, basically our configurations and other stuff. So in order for us to access the library function, we can only access the library function through the next package, right? So we cannot access the library function without the next packages because it's an attribute set of the next packages. So if you want to access the library function, we have to first import next packages, and then we have to then call the library function from next packages. So what we were trying to do here the other day, which was yesterday, was we first of all were trying to use the library function, but then we first of all import the packages, and then we make use of the packages to access the library function in order for us to then access the functions that we need to use from the library functions. And that function is string functions that convert lowercase letter to uppercase. But after that, we then try to access the library function a different way without having to um, write this. We wanted to write it in a different way, and we did. As you can see, we have the library, and then we import these packages, and then we then access the library from the next packages. So they're both kind of similar, but it's just a different way of writing them. But the reason why we add this was because normally if you have like a Nix configuration or Flex file, uh, we don't usually have to write this because the Flex would have already imported Nix packages for us. So we only just need to access the library instead from the Flex. So there's a different way that works. But yeah, that was basically what we're doing. That was what the documentation was trying to let us know. And yeah, if you want to kind of like know more about it, or if you're interested, you could just watch yesterday's video. It wasn't really a tutorial, honestly. It was just a walkthrough about how I was able to do it. Which brings me to what I want to say. What we're doing today, I mean, learning Nix, and what we've been doing for the past few weeks. It's not a tutorial like I used to say, and it's already in the description. It's just a learning process, right? It's just me learning nix.dev, and if there are things that I feel like, oh, I need to talk about this, I talk about it. And if there are things that I feel like, oh, I don't need to talk about, I shut up. So it's just me learning Nix, and I don't know everything. I'm just a noob. I'm just trying my best to understand. So I'm definitely prone to making mistakes or saying some things that are not the way it is, which means that you could go ahead and like confirm yourself if you want to, but at least 80% of what I say it might be right. So yeah, that's what I want to say, and let's continue with the next section of the nix.dev. So today we're gonna be doing impurities. Before I start, one thing I know about impurities is basically the fact that there's something called a pure way and an impure way. I'm just saying what I think. I think the pure way means that you are accessing certain data from the Nix store. So during evaluation, all the data that is being used is directly from the Nix store and not external. But impurity in the sense that most of the data that you need for the evaluation are basically out of the Nix store. So during evaluation, the Nix or the Flake needs to go out of the Flake store to access this data. Then that is called impurity. Why? Because outside, because when the data is being accessed outside of the Flake store, that means there's a higher chance that the data is not reproducible, or because the data has a much how do I put it, like the data changes or could or have a very high chance of changing, right? Because it's not inside of the next store, it's outside of the next store, which makes it not reproducible, right? But once the data is being accessed from inside of the next store during evaluation, then that's a much better and reproducible way. I mean, that might not be the main reason, but that's what I think it is. Because I've had a lot of issues with uh, pure and impure before, and this was basically because I'm trying to access the data from outside of a nix store. For example, there was a time where I needed to create like a dynamic configuration where um, I wanted to check if the host name equals to or belongs to, no, if the host name is amongst like a set of host name, and then if it is, I want to then apply the configuration. That was like my idea at that time. But then uh, the during evaluation, uh, Nix needed a way to access the host name, but then I defined the host name kind of like outside of the Nix store, so that causes impurity, and I was unable to evaluate. Uh, but then when I tried to get the host name from the Nix store itself, then I was able to actually evaluate. It doesn't make sense to me, but that was the issue I had, and that might not be the main reason, but we're gonna go through the documentation together, and we're gonna see if that is actually the. We're gonna actually see what impurity means, if it's what I'm saying, but if not, then we would learn. So let's go. Oh, what's that? Okay, so what I think this is saying is kind of similar to what I was saying, but maybe it explains it in a different way. You could see this section kind of explains it, right? It says there is only one impurity in the Nix language that is relevant here, which is reading file from the file system as build input. What that noise? I don't understand what it means by the file system. Like, does it mean like the Nix store, or does it mean like the file system as a whole, right? So the build inputs are files that derivation refers to in order to describe how to derive new files. Okay. When run, a derivation will only have access to explicitly declared build inputs. Okay. Well, it doesn't really explain. The only way to specify build input in the Nix language is explicitly with file system part or dedicated function. Okay, so well, what I think this is happening is, let's do this. Let me go to, let's say, how do I get let's do this. Okay, so let's do something like this. Let's do nix part. Let's do info. Let's say nix pkg dot. Let's say obsidian for now. Let's switch on directory. Well, let's use something like say sh. I don't know why I keep saying this, but I don't know why it's reading like my current directory. Let's do it over here. Let's get this. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the path to my package because I'm trying to explain what if you want to create it. Okay, so what I'm just gonna do is this is what I'm trying to say. So let's assume that we have a package called hello, right? And this is the hash to that package. So what this is saying is the Nix and the Nix language refer to files by their content hash. So this particular package, this is the hash for that package, right? And if file contents are not known in advance, right, it's unavoidable to read file during expression evaluation, meaning we cannot read that file during evaluation. So just like what I'm saying, if during evaluation the stuff you're trying to access, either a file or data, it is not like in the Nix store in some ways, like stored with a hash and then whatever package or data, then that is considered as impurity, right? It's impure. But when it is linked to the Nix store, then it's considered pure. That's my idea of it, and this doesn't really kind of like explain. But let's see if we can ask ChatGPT again just to kind of like confirm if I am wrong. So explain this in simple terms. Uh, give a brief uh, definition of pure and impure uh, impure uh, with a brief use case. Let's see. Okay, so as you can see, it says in terms of pure, an expression that always gives the same result for the same input. Oh, okay, I mean, that's not what I'm saying, but for example, 1 plus 2 will always be 3 no matter where or when you run it. In Nix, most package descriptions are pure. They describe what to build in a way that doesn't depend on your machine state. I mean, I understand this, but okay. And then it says impure, an expression that depends on something outside of the language, like the outside word, like reading a file from dix or the current time. Example, reading ect/host might give a different result on different system. So this is basically what I'm trying to say. I mean, impure clearly explains what I'm saying, but in terms of pure, I don't know why. A I don't know why it gives that definition. But before we move further to like read this, let me check my Obsidian because I think I wrote a note when I was encountering the problem with pure and impure. Oh my god, I got base. I got base already. I didn't even update mine. So I got base. I got base. Okay. Before that, let's just ignore all that. So I will go and check for what's the name? I will go and check for impure. Impure. Yep, I did have a note on there. Alright, so pure evaluation is the process of evaluating. I don't know why I wrote this way. Let's fix that. So pure expression is the process of evaluating expression. So I tend to make a lot of mistake when I write my notes, right? Because I'm currently like doing something at that point, and I just want to make sure I jot that stuff down so I don't like forget, or for some reason, so I could then reference them later when I need them. So I just like type. Yeah, so pure evaluation is the process of evaluating expressions in a controlled and reproducible environment. This means that the evaluation of expression is not dependent on the external and also non-reproducible. So this is what I was saying. So this is what my brain was telling me, right? Uh, Pure evaluation means that the evaluation expression is not dependent on the external. So you're not getting the data from like outside of the Nix system or store, right? For example, accessing file outside of the Nix store is non-reproducible and external because the content of the file may change over time. Therefore, why did I do this? I feel embarrassed. What's the spelling for therefore? I forgot. I'm just gonna leave it. I forgot the spelling for therefore. So may change over time. Therefore, breaking reproducibility. I don't know. Pure evaluation disallow reliance on environment variable unless passed in the configurations. So yeah, that's what pure means. And let's go to impure. Impure evaluation allow access to external resources, absolute part or environment variable, but sacrifice reproducibility. You can enable impure evaluation by using the impure flag in your next command. So yeah, this is what I'm trying to say. Like impure means that you're accessing either a part or a data or a variable, whatever it is. You're accessing this from like outside of the nix, outside of the nix store. It's not within like the nix store. Like maybe you're accessing it from the from the etc, because we know that etc what the yeah we know what my bad, sorry. So we know etc belongs to like the we know it belongs to the root, right? So if we're trying to like maybe for example accessing a password from the root, from the root system while during evaluation, that's considered impure. You could obviously do that, but then you have to explicitly pass in like the arguments in pure, right, when doing that. So yeah, it's not ideal. So you can see this is an example of a pure evaluation. Like we're reading this file, but the file is like specifically in the nix store or relative part. But then in pure evaluation, like we're accessing like something from outside of the nix store, so which is not. And this was the issue I was having then, and I like the fact that I document this down. Now I know. I was trying to, like I said, enable this package, but then it didn't work because the file I was trying to access is not within Nextdoor, which causes the impure issues. So yeah, that's basically it. Let's go back to this. So why does this matter in Nix, right? Nix try to be pure so that builds are reproducible. If you build something on your computer and it builds on mine, we should get identical result, right? But to actually build software, you must bring in something. But to actually build software, you must bring in external files like source code, patches, and all that stuff. That's the unavoidable impurity within files. So yeah, what that was trying to say is what I was trying to say is like for example, it's what I've just been explaining. Like you want to build like a package that requires certain dependency, and this dependency is not in the nix store. This dependency is outside of the nix store, right? And then you send this project to like another friend to build on their machine, or like another developer to build on their machine. But because this like project is accessing this particular file from outside of the the project, then there is no way that it's going to get the data that it needs, right? Because at that point it's not on its system, and even if it is on its system, it might not be the same version that it is. It might not be the same way. So yeah, it's not reproducible, right? That's basically what that means, reproducibility. Yeah, and we have a few other examples in here. Like we define like we create a function. We have a function that adds to number x plus y to get 5. this is within the Nix like environment, not outside. So definitely, this is a pure this is a pure evaluation. But in terms of these, like when we're trying to read a file from basically outside, then this is not. So that's that about that. Um, so now let's look at part. Maybe I do need an example of a pure and impure. I mean, we're not given an example in yet though, so let's. I don't want to use ChatGPT too much. Okay, so now let's go to part. Whenever a file part system, whenever a file system part is used in string interpolation, the contain the So okay, I'm trying to see if I could. I have a I have a file.nix in here. Can I get the parts to the file.nix? If I do, because obviously I can't put this expression in here. It's not gonna work. So maybe I could do in a Nix report. Let's get this echo 1, 2, 3, and then just do data. We can't do this because if we do like echo 1, 2, 3, now we do data, that would pass in that into data. And then we could do something like we could try to go into flick.nix and then try to access data equals to you can just do this dot slash data, and let's do that, and then we do this. Okay, so if I do nix instantiate, okay, so I think I I think I didn't. Yeah, I did something wrong. So this is it. So it's not just a plain string. Yep. So I don't know if we could see this, but what we did here is, so it says whenever a file system path is used in string interpolation. So string interpolation is basically something like this. We parse in, it's like we have a value, uh, we define like a variable, right? That contains a value, and then we want to pass in the value in the functions that we're writing, like as a as a data, not as a string. So I think we could also do this in like other languages too. We could just pass in the dollar sign and the curly braces and then the data in there. Let me give an example. So we could just say data file, like data file equals to, what's going on with me tonight? Data file equals to, we could just do something like um, dot slash data, right? And then in here we would just pass in like data file. I think they should work the same. So when we evaluate, it works the same. So this is basically called string interpolation, right? So it says whenever you use a file system part in string interpolation, which is what we just did, the content of that file are copied to a special location in the file system, right? So the content of this data file that we created uh, is basically copied to a special place, and that special place is called the nix store, right? The nix store is like where every of the all the like packages and data and all what we have is being stored. Like so, no, so let me see if I could get to the nix store. I think it's in if I'm right. If I'm right. Okay, let's see. Uh, I I really don't know. Like, should I? No, not there. Like, I forgot. Yeah, it's in here. Yeah. So this is the nix store, right? So this is a nix store. It's very large because I have a lot of package, right? Uh, so the nix store contains like all the packages and data and like and whatnot. It's like a very large. It contains everything. So let's just do. Let's go back. Uh, what's going on with me tonight? So yeah. So what this is trying to say is like that data file that we created. This data file is basically copied to a special location in the file system called the nix store as a side effect. I don't know what it means as a side effect, but yeah, whatever that means, we're gonna find out. So the evaluated string then contains the nix store path assigned to that file, right? So that string, which is this particular string, contains the path to this file. That's what it's saying. So when we created that file, which contains this data, and then we try to get the file, that gives us the path to that file, which contains the hash and then the data. So I think we should be able to access this data if we do something like this. I'm not sure this would work, but if we do something like this, I think we should be able to access what the content of that file. Oh, we can't because we should be able to. Should we use sudo cart? Maybe that would work. We can't. Oh, you know, sometimes I could be so stupid. I didn't do. Yeah, it's my fault. Sorry. Let's see this slash. Cool. All right, so I was copying the part to this data in here, which is not the same as mine, obviously, because it's a different hash. Why did I not see that? All right, so if you look at this, if you do something like if we get the hash from this one, like, yep, and we do cart, we do that. Okay, I don't know why. I don't know why I keep saying that, but yeah, it's the data. Am I doing something wrong? Yeah, it doesn't allow us to get it, which is sad, but yeah, that's the part to the contents in the data file. So yeah, the precedent shell command writes the character to the file. The above expression refer to this file as and convert the file system part to or interpolate a string. Yep, that's what it is. So the nix.part part goes like nix/store, and there's always like a hash so that we could like uniquely identify the package, and then we have the name of the file or package. So it is an error if the file system part does not exist. For directory, the same didn't happen. So yeah, we have covered impurity and we have covered part. Let's move on to fetches. So fetches does not have to come from the file system. So before I move on to fetches, what I think that fetches is, so I think fetches is more like, let's say you have a configuration. Let's say you have like a NeoVim configuration, but that NeoVim configuration is in your GitHub repository, right? And then you need to make use of this NeoVim configuration because you don't want to have to like write it again in your system or send it over to your system. You could use like the fetches to basically fetch this NeoVim package from your GitHub repository, and then you could build that as a package. You could build that with Nix, and then you have that particular configuration on your system. So that way, if assuming you make changes to the NeoVim configuration on another system and then you push it to GitHub, all you just have to do is rebuild your system, and Nix would automatically fetch the NeoVim configuration from the GitHub and update the package on your system. So that's what I've seen. I've seen people use it, so that's why I think I That's why I think that I may have an idea what it is or something similar, but let's read. So the fetch is says that the file does not have to come from the file system, but the next language already provide us something called the built-in impure function. Remember that impure means that we are accessing something from outside of the system, right? But in this case, uh, they provide us a built-in impure function that we could basically use to, if we need something from outside of the system, we could fetch that thing from outside of the system over the network during evaluation. So we have different types of built-in. We have the built-in fetch URL, we have the built-in fetch table, we have the built-in fetch git, and we have the built-in fetch closure. This function evaluates to a file system part in the Nix store. For example, let's assume this particular URL is a URL to my NeoVim configuration. So // nix.s, wherever that is, and then we say NeoVim, right? Because we're using the built-in fetch URL, this would fetch that package, and then it would be saved in the Nix store, just like that, with the hash and then the name of the package, just as we've done over here in the data, right? It's kind of like that. Some of them add extra convenience, such as automatically unpacking archive. Yeah, yeah, like fetch table would automatically unpack this package and then basically just save it and in the Nix store. If an error occur, it's an error if the network request failed. Uh, what would it do? Let's say that I want to fetch. I don't really have a package that I want to fetch from GitHub, but if I do it, I could just. I want to see how I could do it. Should we fetch? Let me see. Let me see. Um, let's see. Let's do something like fetch. Fetch package, not fetch from GitHub. Not sure if it's gonna work, but hopefully. When fetches, fetch. So we could say fetch from GitHub. So fetch from GitHub is basically, I think it's a function. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is something simple. Say let's do. Oh my god. Fetch packages package from GitHub. Right, and then let me do like built-in dot fetch fetch URL, and then let me go and get something from GitHub. Let's see, what can we get? Let me get. I think I do have a package that I built a while back. Let me get that. Let me get. Let me get this actually. Let me just see. Let me see if I can get like a plain repository, right? This was just I was like testing out to create like a development environment a while back. So let me get this. But I think Don't really know how it's done. Do you just like copy this like that? I'm not sure if that's how it works, but we could try. Let's do this, right? And let's say you just use the same name again. Let's do that. Equals to let's see. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just call that again in here. Equals to fetch from GitHub. Yeah. Let's do this, right? Let's do nix instantiate. Yeah, it worked. I'm not sure if you can see this, but we, like you can see, it fetched my data from GitHub right there, and then it saves it over in the Nix store. As you can see, it gave it like it gave it a hash, and then it takes the name, and then gave it the name right there. So this is a impure way to get data during like evaluation, right? You So instead of accessing the data from like etc slash or something outside of like the nix, mm, I don't know what to call it, outside of the file system, basically you could use the built-in fetch functions to fetch something, to fetch data the impure way. um, yeah, let me commit this actually so I know. So chores. Okay, the same goes for the fetch tarball. Alright, the fetch tarball would just automatically unpack this tar file and then beat the package into the next stop. So the next package is manual and fetches lists the mirrors additional library function to fetch over the internet. So we have a lot of like, yeah, not that's not too much actually. I was expecting like 10,000 or something. So yeah, we have is it a dozen or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20. We have 20. So we don't necessarily need all of this, but I think the most I've seen being used is fetch from GitHub. Yeah, fetch from GitHub, fetch from Gitsy. This is another like, it's like another like remote Nix, like Git remote repository. And we have GitLab, we have Git tiles from Bitbucket and stuff. So definitely, I'm not. I don't think we'll need all of this, but yeah, the most common one I've seen is fetch from GitHub and also fetch URL. So and fetch Git. So yeah, it's always good to like, I think have this just in case we need it. So I think what I'm gonna do now, so I don't like forget, is I want to like keep the most important, like not now, maybe like save the links to this stuff just in case I want to go over them next time. But what I'm just gonna do is I'm going to save them to my bookmark as a temp, just in case. So I'm just gonna give it next fetch fetches function. And then I have the built-in also. Just gonna say, I think the built-in is also the fetches basically because it says built-in dot fetches. So yeah, it's built in into the file system. Okay, we're done. We're done with fetches. Now let's do like derivations. Um, so derivations are at the core put nix.dev language. Oh, we're gonna get there. Okay, we're gonna get there. Oh, we've done that. Okay, I remember doing this. Um, well, I don't think I've been in here. We're not there yet, actually. Okay, so basically derivation is basically this. All right, like I think this is derivation. What we get from like the part that we get when we get data from the nix store. Like for example, when we get this data, this the part that we get is basically called like a derivation. And a derivation output part is fully determined by its input. So which in this case comes from different versions of these packages. Yeah, so what this is trying to say is you see when we get this particular data from the next when we fetch this like want this repo from the next store, you can see we have this thing, this part which is called a derivation, right? And then we can see it as like it has like a hash, right? So this particular derivation is determined by the version of uh, the next packages that you currently have on your system. Like if you have like version, let's say 25.05, there's a highly likely chance that you get a different like derivation. So that's basically what that's trying to say. Um, hmm. So your output may differ. It may produce a different hash or even a different package version. So it depends on um, the input. That's what this is trying to say. So now let's move on to shell environment. So what this is trying to say is this is a shared environment, right? And in simple terms, what this shared environment does is, first of all, we import Nix packages, right? And we are then like getting a package called Cause, and we are using Cause to basically display uh, a message. But the message that we are displaying is basically a variable containing a value called hello world, right? And we pass in the hello world inside of the shell hook using string interpolation. So if we don't have like these packages, next packages, then there is no way we will be able to use these packages right here, like this one, in order for us to be able to get Kautse, right? There's no way because the Kautse package is being fed from the next packages. nix packages library, right, which we import over here. And if we pass in a message here and we want to display a message, if we're not performing like a string interpolation in here, there is no way we would get the hello world message that we get. So maybe we should write this. I forgot, like, let me do, what's the command for jumping to the end of the line? Right, let me do like message equals to hello from the introvert, right? Then let's do that, and then let's use that over here, right? Let's just say shell environment. So then we say since we already import packages over here, just like this, we don't need to do that anymore. We would just use the packages in here, and we use the make shell cc, and we can say packages, let's just give it a different name, our packages equals to with packages, we're just gonna say like say. Let me get low card also, actually let me get to package, and we're just gonna do this. So what else? I want to be sure that I'm not missing anything. Okay, so then we could say shell walk equals to, we could do that, and we do that again, and then we get that, right? And then are we doing something? Oh yeah, we're doing something wrong, but it's fine for now, I guess. Let's do let's put in like say, then we have a string interpolation, then we have message, then we close that up. I'm not sure if I have like make use of like local before. I don't have it. Alright, so what could possibly be the main reason why we're having this issue? I'm thinking because we so yeah, it wants me to do that. What should we give it? Let's say simple shell environment. Simple shell environment. Alright, so we have our shell environment now, and our shell environment has two packages, say and locard. Locard is to make the message look pretty, and say is to just like is to print out the message in a, and also is a cow diagram. Like if we do cow, say um, message, something like this, we get we get a cow that basically says message. So that's what we want to do. So once we build the share environment, uh, we would get like that particular thing. But then I want to kind of like have a I want to make use of these packages also, just so we could see that we could pass in like multiple packages inside. So let me do um, I forgot how to use how do I use locard package with cow say. Yeah, this is what I was trying to do because my keyboard does not have the pipe, right? So I can't use it. That's what I'm trying to do. So yeah, so we have everything we need. Now we are going to build, we're going to run this file and let's see if we get the result that we need. If we do nix instantiate run, it would go. Oh, okay. What's the problem now? I don't know what this means, but so I'm going through this issue and it says use standard environment.test instead. Pass through is a make derivation details. I don't know what this means, but let's find out. Any idea what this means? So it says, I guess it wants me to use this, probably somewhere in here. Let me pass it my, because I don't really know. Okay, so the thing is, nix instantiate does not run nix shell or build derivation. It just evaluates nix expression into derivation. If you point it at your file, you will just see derivation partner and interactive shell. Okay, that's why nothing runs the way you expect it to. Okay, so that makes sense. Because normally when you have a shell, right, if you want to build it, what you do is you do nix run or nix develop, right? Then that actually builds the shell. But what I'm just doing with this file is I'm just like evaluating nix expression. I'm not actually building like stuff. So now when I define a shell inside of it, uh, I'm getting a derivation error because it needs to build the shell, right? And I'm using kind of like a different command to build it instead of a instead of a nix run. I'm using nix instantiate. So how to actually use the simple shell? Given your file, it says it's called default.nix here. Start a shell. This drops into the environment defined in your make shell and your shell, and we execute this. If you want to see value, you can use it very well. I thought this was a variable. Okay, so so because it's a shell, what I'm supposed to do is run nix shell and then pass in the name of the variable to the shell that I want to run. So let's try that. Let's do nix shell and let's do argument and let's pass in simple shell environment. Let's redo this. So okay, let's show to the share the file. What am I doing wrong? I know I'm doing something wrong. Well, I did that, but for some reason I'm not getting the same result because I cannot find it. So there's a possibility that something is wrong. Maybe the way I'm defining this. Oh, okay. Is that because I think I'm doing that for my default.nix. I am passing in an attribute set. Yeah, I think for some reason, let's try this. Okay. Yeah, as you can see, it does work. So what I don't know is why it didn't work with this, because I did pass in an attribute set and I expect that to get evaluated for some reason. Don't know why it did not. So I might know why actually. Let me exit this. So as you can see, we fetch the data that we need, and then you can see that we both fetch calc and locard. Like right here we have locard and then we have calc, and it uses calc to print this out. And then the reason why it's looking pretty like this is because we have locard. So let's run it again, and this time it just does that. So we can confirm that we have locard right there. As you can see, it says locard and then point us to the um, part to locard. So it gives us a derivation basically, and we could also say which calc, and you can see we have calc also. So what I want to do now is I want to figure out we why we could not like why we could not run or evaluate the shell using the the nix shell without having to pass in like file.nix, because I do already have a default.nix file, and by default nix definitely uses the default.nix file. So my guess is because I have I don't think that's why though, but because I have a what's it called, argument before a function, like an attribute argument. So maybe when I move this over from here like this, when I move this to the let expression, and then I call the, let me just say simple shell environment equals to simple shell environment. When I do this, so if I run this again, it still did not work. That's interesting. Um, can we do this? we have get this. We're not even using it anyway. I don't know. It's probably a very stupid idea, but whoa. I guess I don't know. I would love to ask AI, but I want to see if I could figure it out first. Can we possibly define? I'm thinking of something. Don't know if that would work, but this is probably a very stupid thing. But well, I don't mind. Needs a name, so let's assume, let's get this, and let's say we put that. Could we define that in? No, we can't do this. Could we define? Could we do this? Message, and then we do this. This is very stupid. Can we do this, and then how would we use it? Can we do this? And then we would do something like Why? How would you run something like this though? Uh, can you do that with? No, you can't because. Well, let's see. Uh, should be a way to definitely run something like this. Yeah, definitely. Function with the field value. If they like you re-exported it as my shell. Yeah, that's what I did. So to run the shell, you need to select the my shell attribute. Oh, okay. Okay, let's see. I need to change this to my shell. Tell me it's gonna work. Please tell me it's gonna work. Yeah. Wow, we did it. We did it. Uh, I feel happy. I feel like I solved the world problem or something. I don't know why I think this would work. Wow, I mean, this looks so complex now. Wow, I'm proud of myself for this. Actually, I am proud of myself for this. But that's crazy though. Like the fact that you could pass in an entire function as an argument is so cool. Like it's wow. I mean, I don't know you could do this. Honestly, I mean, this is good. Now I'm hungry. So basically, what I did here is when I when I pass in this inside of the function, right? And I want to run the shell command. I could not run it with I could not run it without passing in the file.nix, right? And this is because if you go to and this is because I have a default.nix file, right? And in order for me to run my file.nix, I basically just have to do like, let me exit this. I basically just have to do like nix instantiate, right? And this command would go ahead and look for a default.nix file to evaluate. Like that's how I've been running my command for a while. So the reason why it's not working with the shell itself was because if you go to my default.nix file, you would see that I have a file.nix, which is this file. So I import the file.nix and then I pass in the attribute empty attribute set. So the reason why I pass in an empty attribute set is because I have a few arguments before my functions, right? And these arguments are in a attribute set, right? So I have my function and then I have an argument, right? So if I want to evaluate this file, I would need to uh, let default.nix file know that I have an argument before the function. So this basically tells it that, right? Like if we have an argument like one argument, then we could Okay, no, not this one. So if we have more than one argument, then that means it's an attribute set, or more than, we could pass in the value of the argument in a empty set. So when we specify an empty set in here, we're basically telling the default.nix file that we have a set coming in, right? So it needs to watch out for that. So since I can't evaluate this shell.nix file um, because it's not passed in as argument, my thought was, let me pass it in as argument then. So if I pass it in as argument, I would not need to specify, like, don't know how to explain it. I don't really know how to explain it, but it makes sense in my head, right? If I pass it in as argument, all I just need to do is call the argument inside of my function, right? It's like the entire shell is right here, right? Well, I just need to, it's already been there as argument. So now my default.nix file can access this. Initially, my default.nix file could not access this because it's inside of like this function. But since I already passed it in as argument now, it does have access to it. All I just need to do is call that inside my function. So that's basically what ChatGPT explains in here. It says, I see what you've done. Like, it was like, yeah, I see what you've done. I see. In this version, simple shell.nix environment is an argument to your function with a default value. So what I did is I basically passed the entire shell as an argument to my function right there. I passed it from here as an argument, right? And then inside of my function, I re-export it as a shell. Like, I just put it in my function as a shell, so then it would work. That's so lovely. And then yeah, and then if I want to run it now, I don't need to specify, like, I just have to like specify my shell in here, and then it would go ahead and do this. And one other thing was, when I passed this in, it was looking for a message, right? And the message was initially inside of the let and the in expression, right? So what I basically did was I moved the message and I passed the message in as an argument also, right? And I set the default value of the message to hello from the introvert. So that's also great. I love that. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, that's cool. And it just works. But it did makes the config so weird. But yeah, what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to commit this. What is going on? Good. Alright, so we're good. Now we have all we need, and that's it. So tomorrow we are going to continue with packages and nucleus configuration. And once we're done with this, we would move on to we'll move on to packaging existing software with Nix. I think I'm going to love this because I already I have a Nix like I already packaged the software before with Nix, like I think 2 months ago. So I definitely want to try this again. And yeah, we're gonna do that tomorrow. Now I'm hungry. I just want to stream, and I have done that. I'm so proud I did that, and I'm so proud that I was able to do this. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. See you tomorrow. End stream.